So are you tired of always having to say yes when you actually really want to say no? So hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah Grace. I hope you guys are doing really well. So on this channel we speak about codependency recovery, people pleasing recovery, authenticity, self-love and everything in between. So if that's something you're interested in, please consider subscribing and let's get into the video. The first thing I always ask myself is, what am I afraid of? Because at the end of the day, it's always fear that's motivating why we're saying yes when we actually want to say no, and making us do things that we actually don't really want to do. So what exactly are you afraid of? Once you are able to identify what is it you're afraid of, you're able to then break it down systematically. So maybe you're afraid of being seen as a person who doesn't care when you actually do care, and you're so afraid to be misrepresented. Maybe you're afraid of being seen as poor or inexperienced or someone who lacks empathy. So you people please, you say yes when you actually want to say no. So once you're able to identify what is it you're afraid of, we can move on to the next question. And so the next question I always ask myself is what I'm fearing actually going to happen? Is it something I'm assuming that is going to happen, or do I have hardcore facts to prove that the likelihood of this happening is very high? Because a lot of the things that we're fearing, these things that we make up in our minds and we're assuming, and assumption is the mother of all frustration. The more you start assuming things, the more you get frustrated. So ask yourself, is this thing I'm fearing, the outcome of me saying no, is it going to actually happen? What's the likelihood of it actually happening? Maybe the likelihood of it actually happening is quite high. But then you have to decide, as we move on to the next question, whether you're going to be happy or the other person is going to be happy. So the final thing I always ask myself is, okay, I'm at a situation now where I know the possible outcome. I know I'm not making it up in my head, because I know this person's tendency. They tend to be very hot-headed, they get angry, they become passive-aggressive, and they start to guilt-trip me, and I don't really want to get involved in that, and they're going to make me feel like I'm a bad person. So what do? You have a choice. It's either you're going to be happy or whether they're going to be happy. It all depends on you. Someone has to be upset in this situation. And my advice is that it shouldn't be you. Because as a recovering codependent and as a recovering people pleaser, you've had your fair share of doing things you don't want to do. So it's now your choice to say, I'm choosing me. I'm choosing to be happy at this time. I'm not letting this person have their way. The real question that we need to be asking ourselves is, are we afraid of how our no is actually going to affect this person? Or are we afraid of how we're going to be perceived if we say no? Because 9 times out of 10, that's the reason why I don't want to say no, because of how we're going to possibly be perceived by the person that we're saying no to, or by the people who will find out that we said no. We're so afraid to be perceived as a bad person, and we're trying to control a situation by saying yes, because we feel that if we say yes, then we're going to be perceived as good people, we're going to be perceived as desirable, as someone who is accommodating. When in actuality, you're doing things that are not authentic to yourself and doing it for the other person will 9 times out of 10 make the person you're trying to please lose respect for you, and it ends up working in your disadvantage. So by that I mean, you may feel like, if I do what this person wants me to do, I do their hair, I go out with them, I pay their way, I make them happy, I let them borrow my car, that means that they're going to like you, that means they're going to respect you. In actuality, they feel like you are a pushover and they don't respect you anymore. And that's what we don't want. For example, you are a person who has chosen to keep themselves onto marriage. You don't want to have any sexual encounters until you get married. But because now you're in a relationship, you don't want them to feel like they're unloved. And you do desire them, but you have already set in your mind that this is not what you want to do. You compromise your standard. And in your eyes, you're thinking, I'm going to be more desirable to them, they're going to respect me more. And 9 times out of 10, they have lost respect for you because you have just compromised something that you had strong views on. So you must just do what you feel is right for you and not compromise just to please other people. Do what you want to do. Do what's authentic to you and say no. Let's talk about guilt. Guilt is the thing that we try to run away from. We don't want to feel guilty, because guilt is like a feeling that it eats you from the inside out. You feel terrible, you're constantly overthinking because you feel guilty. The reason why you feel guilty is because you've told yourself that you've disappointed them. You've told yourself that you've so upset them and you're such a bad person. If you tell yourself a different narrative of, I'm taking care of myself, I can't do it, I'm tired, I don't want to do it, they have other options but they want to manipulate me to do it, I can't do it, I'm sorry, and I refuse to feel guilty. Or maybe the person has directly told you that you have disappointed them. But at the end of the day, it's a matter of perspective. because in their eyes you have disappointed them. But if you look at it from a different perspective, you will see that you've only preserved yourself. Yes, you may have upset them, but you have not necessarily disappointed them in a way that they can't recover. There are other alternatives, but because you're the easy target, that's why they're trying to manipulate you to make you feel bad. They will beg and beg and beg and beg, and when you try to put your foot down, you constantly say, no, I can't. You give them a reason why, a clear explanation why, but they refuse to accept that explanation, and they keep on begging you. And when you keep saying no, they're going to guilt trip you. After all my begging, after all the reasons I've given to you as to why you're the one I need help from, and you're still saying no, you're so bad, I never knew you were like this, and all these things to make you feel guilty. But guilt is a matter of perspective. If you change your perspective, the likelihood of you feeling guilty will be diminished. In times like this, when you feel so guilty and you don't know what to do, you have to constantly remind yourself as to why you said no. You said no because you're tired. You said no because your feelings and your thoughts matter. You don't want to do it, and that should be acceptable. That should be enough. You don't have to keep explaining. You don't have to keep being apologetic. You don't have to be afraid. Just say no. But a lot of people can't just accept no. They want to keep picking and picking and picking, and it's up to you to say, hey, stop. I've already said no. So you just have to be honest with yourself. Stop pretending. If you don't want to say yes, say no. Don't think no, but say yes. Say no. Be confident in yourself. Do it afraid. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. If you don't want to go there, don't go there. If you don't want to eat that thing, don't eat it. Just be true to yourself. They're going to try to guilt trip you. They're going to try to make you feel bad. But it's up to you to say no. And you've got to have the end in mind. This too shall pass. I'm doing this for the betterment of myself. I'm doing it as part of my recovery. It's going to be uncomfortable. But this is the only way I can get to the place of wholeness, where I'm no longer being pushed around, tossed around. I am being me. And I'm saying how I'm feeling. But these feelings of guilt will be there. But it's up to you to remind yourself that I don't need to be feeling guilty here, because my feelings matter too. And there's a high possibility that the person that is asking you to do things and begging you, trying to make you feel bad, if the tables were turned, they will not do that thing for you at all. And you need to remind yourself of that. If the tables were turned, the person who is begging you, trying to make you feel bad for saying no, for putting your foot down, they will not do the thing that they're asking you to do in a similar situation. They will not do it, and they'll say no without any remorse. They'll say no without even an eyelid, and then you'll be feeling so hurt, like how they do it in such a cold manner. But while if it was me to say no, I'll be overthinking. That should motivate you not to feel guilty. Your feelings. So I hope you guys have got some value from this video, and hope it helps you to understand that you can say no without feeling guilty, and it's all a matter of perspective. If you change your perspective and see it from a different way, you really understand that you don't need to feel guilty, that your feelings and your thoughts matter, and that as you enter into healthy relationships, you begin to see that no is a healthy word, no is a safe word, and no is an acceptable word. I want you guys to be bold. I want you guys to be confident when you say no. Don't feel guilty. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. I do appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't. Follow me on socials, and have a great day, a great week, a great life. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Take care. Remember, be bold, be confident, and don't be afraid to say no.